Hey there everyone, this is Samuel Johnson and welcome back to the Alien Force Retrospectives, and today we're going to be looking at episode 8 of Ben 10 Alien Force, What Are Little Girls Made Of? I think this episode's dumb. I'm just going to come out and say it. I think this is a dumb episode. It has some funny lines, has some good action, and it introduces one of my favorite characters in the show, but I think it's a dumb episode. So, I might as well explain what's going on. First up, let's get into the spoilerific plot summary. In this episode, Ben, Gwen, and Kevin are at a little secret fishing hole that Max used to visit when he wasn't away on business. Gwen, of course, for Gwen, this place holds a lot of personal memories, so she's sad and all that. So she's sad. Ben and Kevin are trying to comfort her, but it's not working. Sorry if the camera's shaking. My dog is right over there. I think he's becoming more of a regular character. But anyway, while they're fishing, they see this old woman in a cloak by a tree. They don't know. They start wondering what's going on, and then they go out and call her. But when they go and try and talk to her, she vanishes, and all she leaves behind is this strange flower that no one seems to that doesn't look normal. Gwen tries tracking the old woman through the flower, but no matter what she tries, doesn't seem to work. And written on the tree, or carved into the tree, is a heart with the words Max plus Verdona inside. So of course the team is just wondering, how does this woman know Max or whatever? Why is she here, and how did she disappear? So just out of curiosity, so they decide they're gonna try and see if they can catch her again. And as such, they spend, I don't know, maybe a couple days staking out the fishing hole, just waiting for her to come back. And one night, we actually did. It's actually a rather amusing scene as all three of them are just waiting for this woman to appear, and Ben is just annoying Kevin by constantly playing with the window switch on his door on the passenger side. In the meantime, Gwen goes off to use the bathroom in a gas station a couple miles away, but while she's gone, the old woman returns, and so Ben and Kevin confront her. However, it turns out that this old woman actually has superpowers, which you can probably is evident from the fact that she disappeared before. But what's special to note about her powers is that they're pretty much like Gwen's, almost exactly like Gwen's. In fact, they're better than Gwen's. She can fly. She can create explosions. She can absorb energy. She's like a more powerful version of Gwen. So she attacks Ben and Kevin. She ends up attacking Ben and Kevin. Ben chases after her as Jet Ray, and Kevin absorbs material from the surface of his car, but they're no match for her, as she's a more skilled fighter, and she's more skilled at using her powers, and she actually manages to disarm them both by causing one of Ben's lasers to get stuck and causing an explosion that sends him flying into Kevin and likewise them into a rock. But just before she can capitalize on their confusion and attack them, Gwen puts up a shield in front of them, and this woman becomes so amazed that she actually stops attacking, and she actually hugs Gwen. The woman then introduces herself as Verdona, the other name on the tree, and says that she will see Gwen later. At which point she disappears, and the group realizes that this woman is Ben and Gwen's grandmother, as she seems. It's honestly not that far off a guess, because their names are both in a heart, Max and Verdona, and she happens to have powers like Gwen's. I think it could be an easy assumption to make. So later on, Gwen confronts her dad about winds up inviting her dad into her room while Ben and Kevin snoop, though they're eventually caught. But she finally reveals to him that she has magic powers. However, it turns out that the father, while he's shocked by this, is not as shocked as you would think, as it turns out that when Gwen reveals that she met Verdona that day, the man reveals that her powers aren't magic, per se. In fact, he goes as far to say there's no such thing as magic. That Gwen is part alien. I'm to stop this plot summary and point out how stupid this is. One, actually, you know what? Scratch that. No, I'm just going to show the whole dumb hierarchy. In fact, I'm going to go into you know what? Scratch that. I'm going to go into full detail about why this is stupid. Reason number one, he says that there is no such thing as magic. That's a load of shit. We've seen throughout the entirety of Ben 10 that, of the original series, that magic is a thing. We've seen constant signs of it all over. There was the Fountain of Youth and Don't Drink the Water. There was the Charms of Bazel. We got magic supervillains, Hex, Charmcaster. And then there was the Ultimate Weapon episode with the Mask of Apuk and the Sword of Akchua. Hell, the episode had Ben fighting an actual god, actually fought Apuk, the Mayan god of death and the underworld. That actually was magic. And yet, this episode says, nope, no such thing as magic. It's all alien. I'm not kidding. And they actually capitalize on this in later episodes. It's dumb. It is really dumb. And then, of course, dumb. And it contradicts with everything else, with many pieces of evidence in the original show that magic is a thing. On top of that, too, it's kind of unnecessary. Why did they want to have Gwen become an alien? So they could introduce this character? Well, I honestly think that that's still kind of dumb. And unfortunately, it's because of the character that I feel it's even dumber. And then there's another thing. How he knew that his mother... Because Gwen's father is Max's son, so... It turns out that Max's kids knew that... Or at least Gwen's father, Frank, knew that their grandmother was an alien. They knew the whole time. And on top of that, here's another bombshell. He knew Max was a plumber. The alien type of plumber. Not the one that unclogs toilets. No. He knows about all this. And it doesn't make sense. And it doesn't line up with the rest of the series. With the classic series. Max's policy was the less people who know, the better. The less people who know about this, the less likely they'll be able to get involved and get hurt. Okay, that makes sense. So why does his family know? And on top of that, how did they know she was an alien? If she was an alien, then why would Max tell his kids that oh yeah, I'm a plumber? And why would he only tell? And if he just told Frank, why not Ben's parents? Yeah, spoiler territory. We're gonna go into spoiler territory in a later episode. We meet Ben's parents in this series, and guess what? They didn't know about the plumber thing. They didn't, and yet Frank knew. Does that mean that Ben's dad knew that his mom was an alien too? What the hell? And if he knew that, why didn't he know that Max was a plumber? It's dumb, and it doesn't make sense. And again, this retcon causes plot holes for the original series with established continuity. It doesn't make sense. It's just dumb. It's a dumb retcon. It's dumb. So, with that out of the way, let me get back to the plot summary. So, after Gwen learns this, it turns out that she calls in Ben and Kevin, but at the same time, it turns out that not only were they spying, but so was Verdona, as Frank calls her out saying, "I know you're listening, Mom," and so she appears and teleports them all to the living room of the house, spooking Gwen's mom. And honestly, she's one of my favorite characters in this episode, because she's always dry, sarcastic, and she's just kind of a bitch, and I love her. She isn't full bitch, because she's kind, caring, and understanding, and she wants the best for her daughter. And she wants the best for her daughter, but she is snide, cynical, and she just has a dry voice, like, oh god, I gotta deal with this. I don't like her. You clearly see she's Gwen's mom. Her personality fits with how 10-year-old Gwen kind of was. But anyway, they all sit down to talk, and it turns out that Gwen's grandmother is a member of the species called Anodites, beings of pure energy that can manipulate the mana and cosmos of the universe and whatever. And apparently, for pretty much they're pretty much just space hippies. That's what I'm calling myself. That's how she describes them. She doesn't use those exact words, but she says they're free spirits that like to roam, fly around, yada yada yada. I just call them space hippies. That's what I'm calling them, and that's what they are. They're the way she describes it. They're space hippies. They're just free spirited and like to travel. But anyway, as Gwen it turns out that when Verdona came to Earth, she met and actually fell in love with Max, and for once in her life, she actually settled down. However, once Ben, however, once her children were grown up and out of the house, she just decided to go back. She just left. She just kind of left to do her own. She just kind of went back to Anodyne to rediscover her roots. And the reason she's back now is because of Max's death, quote unquote, in the Max Out in episode 6 of this show. As such, which I don't know how the information got out. Maybe Benning. I don't know. It's not explained. It's not really explained. Maybe the plumbers figured out from Max's plumber badge. I don't know, but honestly, everyone believe. But I don't know. It's not explained, and I really didn't. It's not explained. Everyone just knows that Max is dead. I don't know, and I don't care. But bottom line, Verdona wants to, because Gwen has developed these powers. Verdona wants to give Gwen. Wants to teach Gwen how to use these powers, but in teaching her how to use them, she's gonna to be taking Gwen away to Anodyne, their home planet. Gwen, of course, thinks this is a giant decision and doesn't know what to do, and her parents are pretty much saying, this is your choice, we're not gonna get in your way if it'll be better for you. But, so, she goes to be by herself, and she asks how Benning, and she asks Ben and Kevin for advice. Ben says Ben mentioned the time that when he was debating putting back on the Omnitrix, and she told him it was his choice, and it's a nice little moment. It's actually a very nice moment between all three characters, and my favorite moment is just when Kevin says it's all lame, he doesn't want her to go, and the fact that she jumps on that and uses that as her excuse, and that's when she finally says, I don't want to do this. It's actually just nice, because I think she was just looking for someone to tell her, no, please don't. So, after that, she tells Verdona, no, I want to stay home, I want to stay here, but Verdona is kind of nuts. I'm not gonna lie, she's kind of nuts, as it turns out that the old woman facade was a disguise, as she sheds it off, and she actually looks like a rather attractive woman who is made of pure energy, is glowing black, pink, and has this long pink hair made of energy, and she says that because Gwen is still in her human disguise, that she's not thinking clearly. So Verdona says she'll destroy her body and then she'll think clearly, and so that does not sit well with the rest of the team. So they all get into a fight with Verdona. Each one does. It's actually a rather well done fight scene, as it still has all the characters doing everything they do well. It has some nice quips, and it honestly leads to some very nice moments with Verdona, but just when they get the upper hand, Verdona draws energy from everything around her and uses all that power to subdue Kevin and Ben, but just when she's about to destroy Gwen's body, Gwen says, no, listen to me, and for some reason she does, and Gwen tells her that I have a life here, I have people I care about, I enjoy my life, I enjoy having powers, I enjoy saving the world, I enjoy being a student, I like hanging out with my friends, I don't want to do this, and Verdona keeps trying to talk her out of this, but Gwen kind of pretty much tells her that maybe she didn't come back to Earth because she wanted to be, not just because of Max, but because she maybe did miss all this. She forgot what it was like to just have a life here. So Verdona does finally concede and realizes that Gwen, and decides that she'll just leave Gwen be and let her discover her own journey and let her discover everything for herself. But when she does, and she repairs all the damages with a snap of her finger, and then she flies away, leaving a flower behind, and it's cheesy. It's all cheesy. So, okay, if my giant outburst with all my problems with this episode was not clear, I think this episode's dumb for this giant retcon. I think the retcon is, because this retcon does not make sense in terms of continuity for the original series and this. Mostly because we have seen magic as a real thing throughout Ben 10, with the Fountain of Youth, the Sword of Echua, Hex, Charmcaster, the Charms of Bazel, even Gwendolyn in the future. We saw her using spells, and on top of that, yeah, that's how Gwen discovered her powers, through a spell book. She got them down with impeccable accuracy, and yet for some reason they're telling us that, nope, it's all alien, that's why she has all these powers, and I don't like that. I think that's dumb. If it was just Gwen that displayed these powers, fine, but it doesn't make sense. And admittedly, it does fill in some small plot holes in the original series, like how Gwen was able to use all this magic stuff, was able to use some magic stuff, or even using Hex's staff, but in the Tough Luck episode. But otherwise, it's a dumb retcon that I don't think works. On top of that, I think the ending is cheesy, because I like the fight scene, but Verdona kind of felt like too volatile a personality to just say no. Admittedly, it is one of those examples of the show's trying to get across of the characters maturing, and that maybe not everything can be solved with action, so I can kind of understand that. But considering the personality that Verdona had, it feels odd that she would just be convinced of Gwen finally just saying no, even though she was very very gung-ho about this. And it feels even dumber, the fact that she would just be, okay, bye, instead of just like maybe even sad. I don't know, it doesn't make sense, and I think again, the retcon's dumb, the resolution is dumb, and the fact that this retcon encompasses the majority of the episode, it irks me. It really irks me, and it just kind of makes me mad. But, again, I did mention some nice things. Sorry, dog's still here. So, again, I did mention that earlier that this episode did have some nice action, some nice lines, and some funny moments. And especially with the part with Kevin just calling the whole thing lame. It's rather amusing and funny. But I think one of the saving graces of this episode, it doesn't save it, but one of the saving graces is one of the things that this retcon produces. And that is the character of Verdona Tennyson. Now, like with Ken in Max Out, she's not really used often in the series. In fact, she's barely used after this episode. I think her only other appearances throughout the show were in one episode in Ultimate Alien and a cameo appearance in Ben 10 Alien Force Vilgax Attacks, which was a video game that may not even be canon. Probably not. Otherwise, she doesn't appear very often, and it's kind of sucks like that, really. However, she's a fun character, and I can easily see how she's related to the Tennysons. I mentioned in the earlier fight scenes between herself and, sorry, my dog is still right here, and he's a little glory hog. Sorry, gotta move this over. I mentioned how when Ben and Kevin fought her, pretty much through every fight scene with her, she's enjoying herself, she's making quips, she's just smiling, and even when she's not fighting, she's just a smart aleck. She's just a smart aleck, a bit of a troublemaker. I can easily see how she's related to the Tennysons, and I can easily see how she's related to Ben. It's rather fun, and I like her personality. She's kind of an ass, and I love it. I think it really is not. I do like her. In fact, one of my favorite moments a cute moment in the episode is during the fight scene between Ben, Gwen, and Kevin when Verdona shows her true form and she tries to forcibly destroy Gwen's body. Ben transforms and they tie her up with a web, which I'll talk about that in a second. Kevin's about to crush her underneath a giant cinder block, but she gives him a sad face. And he says, should I do this? And Ben just says, it's okay, we're just teaching her to mine her mana. And she just breaks out laughing and tells Ben it's a good one. It's a rather nice scene, and you can still tell that it's a rather nice scene, kind of cute, but again, it's another example, sorry about this. Bless you, dog. But it's another example of how well these characters were. Sorry, I need to move him. Move, Xander. Stay. I'm sorry about that. But it's a nice example of how these characters are but it's a nice example of how they're related, and I feel it works really well. I'm trying to keep him off screen right now. He really wants me. He's a little attention hog. I think he feeds on it. Sit! Stay. I should be pausing through all this. I should, but I'm not. I don't know why. And he's right there again. He's not. I gotta wrap this up. But okay, I'm getting off topic once again. But anyway, so again, I like her character, and I like when she appears. She doesn't appear often, but it's always nice. She's just smart alecky, and I think she's a little crazy. Because when Ben and Kevin encounter her and they demand answers, she just blasts them, and she clearly is enjoying herself when fighting these people, even though she's using very dangerous means. You think she would hold back when her grandson and her granddaughter's possible boyfriend are at stake, but no, going all out, and she loves every second of it, and she's a fun character. I like her. It's just that she had to be attached with the retcon. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. And again, one other major problem is, and I guess I could also credit this episode for one thing, the retcon does get some interesting story moments and some cool scenes later on in the series, but honestly, on the whole, I think the episode's dumb. I think the retcon opens too many plot holes, it feels too out of left field, and I think the resolution is just dumb. I think it's honestly dumb. So, again, there are still some good aspects, because I like Verdona. She's probably one of the few reasons why I think I can still stand this episode. I like that it sets up some stuff later, and I mentioned before it's got some fun action, and some funny lines, but honestly, on the whole, I think this is a dumb episode. There's still some things there that I recommend watching it maybe once, but no more. Just no more, because it's just dumb. It's a dumb episode. I'm sorry to say that for anyone that actually likes it, but those are my honest thoughts. So, well, yeah. Thanks for watching, and thanks for putting up with my dog running around the room or running around my bed because he wants attention, and I think he feeds on it. So, next time we meet, we hopefully will have more control over the situation. I almost forgot something. I forgot to mention. This episode introduces a new alien. I forgot. I was gonna talk. I remember that once, but I completely forgot about it. This episode introduces Spider Monkey. Essentially, as the name implies, he's a blue monkey who with 4 eyes, multiple arms, and he can shoot. Has spider agility and can shoot web out of his tail. Spider Monkey's cute. I think he's cool. I think he's agile. I think he's nice. His personality is a little weird. Weird because Ben's a lot more jokey with him and makes sounds, but he's cute. Nothing great, but he's cool when he's on scene. So yeah. Okay, so now for real, that's the end. So thank you for watching. I'm Samuel Johnson. Tune in next week where we hopefully have more control of the situation and we'll hopefully have a better episode. So yeah. Thank you for watching. I'm Samuel Johnson. I'll see you next week, and next time, hopefully on Friday. So, yeah. Thanks for watching, and see you then.